Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be talking about reasons why you shouldn't attend film school or university in the UK. So before we get into the video, I just want to let you know about an event I'm running on how to create a stable business using retainers in 2021. I want to help as many people in the last bit of this year as I can so that they've got the best chance moving forward in 2021 and have the best year they possibly can do. I'm running event sessions. They're 3 hours each. You only need to attend one of them, and it's from the 14th of December right through to the 20th of December, and there's 2 times each day. I'm going to link in the description, so go and check that out as well. Just click the link, find the time that works best for you, and then just register yourself, and I look forward to seeing you at the event to try and help you make a successful business. If you're new around here, welcome to the community. Hit the subscribe button. We really appreciate our growing following, and my aim is to give as much information away for free that most people would make you pay for. And my whole concept is trying to help filmmakers and photographers and creative people build successful businesses, because I think we're all really good at the creative side, but there's not many people or hardly anyone talking about the importance of running a successful business. And really it's the business acumen, it's the business knowledge that's going to be able to make sure you have successes and get money through the door so you can have the career that you really want to do. I've even launched my own academy, the Perspective Academy, so make sure you go and search that along with various other free Facebook pages such as the Aspiring Filmmakers and Videographers Facebook page with almost 2,000 members now. So go and join those communities because there's lots of really good free advice and more training to help you become as successful as you possibly can. But getting right into the video today, and now this is a very interesting subject because I didn't go to film school. So you might be thinking, well, Ross, how can you give your advice on why you shouldn't go to film school if you've never been? And that's because I know a lot of people who have been to film school. I employ people who have studied film at university and at college, and therefore I know the reasons why it hasn't been as beneficial. And through experiences that they've shared with me, I'm able to have a much more rounded approach to understand why it hasn't worked for them and why it's worked for some people as well. You know, I won't sit here and say it's definitely not for you, because you know yourself better than I do, right? But I'm able to give you some advice and some tips on things that firstly perhaps employers want to use, or what your own goals are as well. And that's where I'm going to kick things off. A really good friend of mine, when I started filmmaking, turned around to me and said, Ross, did you study film at university, or have you done any qualifications in filmmaking at all? And I was like, no, I haven't. I've literally just like self-taught and self-learned these things myself. And he was like, that's a really good thing. He was like, you need to start using that as a really strong sales tool. And at the time I was thinking, what do you mean? Like, surely that's a negative effect. Like, I don't have any qualifications. Like, surely that's a bad thing. And he was like, no, not at all. In the creative industry, that's a reason that separates you away from everyone else. Because typically, people who come out of film school and study these things, they're there to pass exams, and therefore they're all taught exactly the same way. If you think about it, at a minimum, a class of 30 people are taught in exactly the same way. So everyone's going to have very similar ideas and very similar outlooks. Whereas for someone who's had to learn this stuff the hard way and learn it themselves and work out what creatively works and what creatively doesn't work, then you're able to have a better judgment, and your work as a result will be so much different. So it's less of a cookie cutter platform. And he said that's the exact reason why you're more employable to PR agencies or brands, is because you're able to bring something that's creatively different to everyone else. So although your learning process is perhaps longer because you're having to figure these things out yourself, watch YouTube videos about creating content, how to edit properly and all of those things. He said you're having a very different and a unique outlook on those factors, opposed to just going and studying these things at film school. And it wasn't really until later on that I've started to understand that more and more, and especially as I've started to employ people as well, because for me as an employer, I don't look at qualifications. That doesn't concern me at all. If I'm bringing you on as a filmmaker or I'm bringing you on as an editor, I want to see your results. I want to see your work. I want you to show me what it is that you can actually do. Can you edit these things as good as you say you can do? What is your filmmaking style like? What is your kind of eye for filmmaking? What does that look like? So I'm looking for visual examples in terms of portfolios and examples there, opposed to whether or not you passed with the highest grade in your class. I'm not concerned, because it needs to fit what's right for our business. And that's from an employment point as well. And I think that I certainly see a lot of show reels from people who are attending film school or university or college. Over here in the UK, there's lots of different types, and I know that each film school is slightly tailored more to one side or the other, or you've got general media production and things like that. So I understand that there's different sectors. I'm trying to generalize for the purpose of the video and give people some kind of overview of an insight from why it's perhaps not always the best decision for people as well. And don't feel pressured into having to have a degree or having to have a higher level of education, because again, it's your portfolio that's going to take you forward. And I see people that come out of film school and a lot of their show reels are very, very similar. And it's always including things like your narrative or documentary style, your things like TV, where it'll be actors. And obviously, because you're doing it at film school, you're not paying high-end actors, and it all looks very amateurish. And I get past these things from an employment point when we're looking for new roles, and I'd look at them and just think, that doesn't show me anything creatively. Firstly, it's not really in line with what we do. And also, it doesn't show me a flair of who you are. It has no personality. You're just showing me two actors on screen in a setup that makes no sense in the continuity of things. So I think portfolio is really, really important. And again, I want to share that with you from an employer's point of view. But what you need to understand is, if you're thinking about going to film school, you're thinking that you want a job within this industry, is what's your end vision? Because without really knowing what you want to go into, it's hard to make a decision on whether or not studying at film school or university, or even into photography or any creative arts for that matter, whether or not that's the right place for you. So one of those things I want you to break down is, do you want to work on kind of your Hollywood blockbuster, your cinema films? Is that what you want to work on? If the answer is yes, then film school is a good way through the door. That's a good way for you to understand how the sets work and start to find jobs and roles within those things and work your way up through those ranks. Effectively, you will always be working for someone in that sense, and film school can be really beneficial if that's the route you want to go down. Do you want to work in TV production? Do you want to be working on the set of Strictly Come Dancing, let's say, or things like that? Do you want to work in TV production? Again, if the answer is yes, then film school is actually not a bad place to be, because they will teach you these things. Now, you can already see that if they're teaching you these things at film school, then very rarely, or in not many cases, do they really teach you about freelance videography. If you want to create your own business, if you want to have a production company, or if you want to work for another production company, or if even you want to just go freelance and start up on your own, and you want to have your own little business and just remain freelance, then film school is probably not the best option for you, because you're your own boss. You're not being employed by anyone. So you need to think, well, actually, why does it benefit you? And I'm going to quote something that someone who works for me has literally just said when I was trying to find some background to this video and trying to provide a more rounded approach. Like I said at the start, I don't want to sit here and just say, no, you shouldn't go, because for some of you it'll be right, but I want to give you an opportunity to know that it's not the be all and end all. And he literally just said, it was good, but it wasn't worth the money. And that's the thing, you forget that, yes, you get out a student loan, but you have to pay for these things. You have to pay these things back. And actually, that's really, really valuable to know. Whereas you can invest in your own knowledge, you could invest in a business course to teach you how to get clients, and then you can invest in time or courses about teaching you how to use a camera and do the things that you're passionate about. And that's the thing that I focus on the most, is teaching people how to create successful businesses and businesses that they want to run. I want you to wake up on a Monday morning, on a cold winter's morning when it's dark outside, and be excited to go to work because you're working on some amazing projects that you are actually passionate about, not because you're just following, whatever you think should happen. And I think what I see is that's really disheartening is that people that come out of film school or studying some kind of videography or even photography within the UK, is they come out of it and they expect to get those jobs, and it's like, no, actually you're starting at the bottom of the pecking order. You need to go out there. Oh, you don't have a portfolio, or you have a portfolio but it looks pretty rubbish, as I've just mentioned. So you now need to start developing your portfolio. The problem is you haven't really found your own creative style because you've just been taught exactly what everyone else has been taught for the last couple of years. So then you find it hard to actually break outside of that. Some people struggle to then get work, and then they'll just go and work a part-time job, and some people can't make it work. Now, I am a strong believer that you don't need to be the best business, you do need to be a good business person. You don't need to be the best filmmaker in order to make money, because actually it's to do with your business knowledge and understanding how it works in that setting. And that's why I teach those things, because actually they're more powerful. Your work is important, don't get me wrong. It's important that you're able to deliver on what you say you can and retain those clients. And it's important, especially when you want to up the caliber of clients that you're getting as well. But at the start, it's actually really important that you understand the business side of how to get clients as a freelancer, because that's what's going to bring the money into you and able to develop your skills, invest in better camera equipment, and really start to move up the ranks, or build your own business and what that looks like as well. So I think that's a really important factor that people need to understand, is that university is an investment. It's going to cost you money to go. And is that the place that's going to see you better? Because some people might say, well, then I've got a degree at the end of it. And yes, if you want to work for someone, then sometimes that might be important. But as I've already just mentioned, myself personally and many other production companies that I know the owners of won't employ on that basis. It's what you can creatively do. So if you're a person that actually you think, well, I'm just doing this because it fulfills the thing of, well, I've got a degree to take forward in later life, experience will 100% take that over all the time. Because if you create a name for yourself, and I know many freelancers that haven't gone to university and have created a name for themselves, and now they are the go-to people for motorbike advertising or car advertising, or their specific niches that they're really passionate about and they love working for. They've done that off their own back, and they're working for these major brands. I mean, some of them do work for like Porsche and people like that, and Harley Davidson, major brands. And that's not because these companies are saying, oh, I need to see if you've got a degree or not. They can clearly see that this person is talented. They've worked on their craft. And when they've worked on their craft, it's done to such a good point where actually they get the work anyway. So it's just for you to think, is it right for you? And I think just to summarize this is, if you would like to work on cinema films, then perhaps it's a good option to just research the courses well enough to get a good understanding of is that course the right one for you, and also try to plan out your path as well. Think about that end goal, and it doesn't matter if that changes, right? It doesn't matter. I know people that have gone freelance and then decided that they want to produce films, and they've gone into filmmaking. They've already developed their craft and their skill in camera work in one area as a director perhaps, and now they're moving it into a new industry. I know people that have done that. So people feel worried about setting targets and goals and mapping out their journey, because once you write something down, it feels like it's permanent, right? But if you can kind of break that mold, if you can get into the habit of writing these things down and think, what do you want? What do you want in life? What does that look like? Write that down, and then you can see easier if this vision of going to film school or university or college, perhaps there's internships that you can do within production companies that will actually be more beneficial than those things as well. We certainly open up opportunities to interns to come and work here and see how we work as a production company, and try to develop their skills there as well. So I think look at those things, work out what it is that you want to achieve, and then backwards engineer it from there. Does that fit the bill? So if you want to study cinema, like I said, that's probably quite a good thing to do. And again, with TV as well, if you want to work on part of a TV production, or if you want to work for someone within those areas, then perhaps it is a good option. Just do your research into the courses. But if you're thinking about having your own business, growing your own production company, working for another production company, or just remaining freelance, or you're just a little bit unsure, then probably best not to waste a lot of money going to film school. You can always enroll in that later on if you do change your mind. And actually use that time more wisely to invest in your knowledge elsewhere. When I was a skier, and I'm going to take you back just very briefly for this quick story, all of my friends went to university, and there was this huge pressure on me at school. I stayed on to do my A-levels, and it was a huge pressure on me to go to university. And I said to the connections people, the people who decide or give you advice, they're meant to give you advice on what they think is good for you. And it was insane. I had such a bad experience because they were telling me, no, you need to go to university, you need to get a degree. And I was like, well, no, because that's not what I want to do. I am only going to university to go out and party and have a good time. That's the only reason I would do it. I would probably study media because I kind of loosely enjoyed making ski edits and things like that. But I didn't really know, and they were really pushing me. You must apply. At least if you apply and get the position, then you can cancel it. I was like, no, that's just not me. Then my ski career started to take off, and my dad said to me, look, lots of people take a gap year, and lots of people spend thousands, tens of thousands of pounds going to university. So why not spend a few £1,000s of your savings just traveling the world and doing what makes you happy? And by doing what made me happy meant that I had a good career within skiing, and then I was able to change what I learned from a business side of things within how sponsorships work, how things like that, producing content as an athlete for these sponsors, and transferring those skills that I learned, which were basically business skills, into filmmaking, and then starting to create a successful company. And for those of you who don't know, within a few years I went from working out of my parents' living room to having this studio. We've got a photography studio below us as well, and growing a business, employing a team of people, and regularly making really good money. And that's because we've been able to adapt and do what makes us happy. You know, I get up every day and I love my job, and I love this industry, and it always just excites me. And I think if you're doing what makes you happy, you can't go wrong. So if you're sitting there thinking, hey, I'm not sure what to do, take some of your savings and invest it into things that will, things that will benefit you and that will really try to make you have the best career you possibly can, and one that you're going to enjoy. You're going to be working from the age of probably 17, 18, all the way up to 70 or 80, okay? So you need to have a job you enjoy, okay? Because there's no point in having a job you hate and then at the end retiring, because you've got a few years before you die. That's matter of fact. That is literally as matter of fact as it gets, okay? So make sure you enjoy your job. Invest into business coaching, whatever it is, or filmmaking, or learning those things. And it doesn't have to be in the realm of a formalized education which follows a set of procedures in order for you to pass tests. Let your creative work do the talking, along with your business knowledge and your acumen. And if you need any help, drop a comment. I'm always happy to answer any comments on this channel as well. So if it's resonated with you, I really hope it's helped you with whatever you decide to do, and just provide a more fuller reason as to maybe it's not always the right decision. And feel free to ask any questions. If you like this, please do hit the subscribe button, leave a like and a comment as well. I'd love to hear from you guys, and follow our pages. We've got tons of free resources out there to help as many people as possible. So until the next video, I hope you've enjoyed this. See you later. Peace.